lasagna. There are endless ways to make it. Every region builds it differently. Every family swears by their recipe. This isn't the classic way, this is the chef way. A technique-driven approach to deeper flavour, lighter layers and a clean slice every time. Today I'm going to be making one of my favourite and one of the most popular pasta dishes in the world. We're going to be taking inspiration from a legendary 3 Michelin star chef to create the chef version of the ultimate lasagna. So the first thing we're going to be doing is starting with the sofrito. So we're going to be using onion, we're going to be using some carrot, and we're going to be using some celery. We are going to be cooking our sofrito in a very special ingredient, which is a little bit unconventional, but it's going to add bags of flavour. Our secret ingredient is going to be bone marrow. Again, this is an optional addition, but it's going to give our ragu buckets of flavour. But we're going to render that down with a tiny little bit of neutral oil, and then once the bone marrow started to melt and the fat is rendered out, we're then going to go in with our sofrito in there, and then we're going to lightly sweat it down in the bone marrow fat. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the tomatoes in half, good generous salt and pepper with a good glug of olive oil over the top. Like that. This is going to be the only tomato element. The northern style is to keep it quite meat focused and let the ragu should be all about the meat. And in some instances, the tomato's barely even there. We're just going to roast these for about 15 to 20 minutes, about 180 degrees. So we're going to be using 4 different types of meat. And this is really, I think, some of the key reasons why this ragu is so good. We're going to be using ox cheek, short rib, pancetta, and then sausage meat or pork mince. We've taken a lot of the inspiration for this part of the ragu from Massimo Bottura. He did a version of this in his 3 Michelin star restaurant in Modena called Osteria Francescana, where he basically recreated a dish from his childhood and called it the crispy part of the lasagna, where he basically deconstructed a lasagna and he did the ultimate pasta, the perfect ragu, and then finished it with sauces and foams and in very much in his style. So what we've done is taken inspiration from that ragu and applied some of it here. So start it off nice and high, and then you can lower the heat as it starts to colour more. But as I said, you want to be turning this regularly, really developing a beautiful crust. And then while that's colouring up, we can just slice up our pancetta. Just going to remove the last little bit. A nice golden colour on there. We can set that meat aside. Then we're going to go in with our sausage meat and then our smoked pancetta. So again, nice low heat to start with. And then we're just going to keep it moving. We really want to break down that sausage meat so we don't get any large lumps of mince. So we're going to go in with the roasted tomatoes into our trusty blender. We want all that nice oil as well. So what's happened here effectively is we've basically just confit these tomatoes in olive oil, but just at a high heat. So we've let some of that water content from the tomatoes escape. And obviously the salt and the pepper is there, seasoning the tomatoes as well. And then we're just going to blend this very, very quickly. We don't want to blend it smooth. We're just going to effectively pulse it more than blend. We're going to pulse our tomatoes. Just a quick, probably about 5 to 10 seconds, I would say. Sorry, 3 seconds. So as you can see, as it's cooking here, the meat starts to clump together again. And I'm just taking our spatula and I'm just breaking up those clumps of meat. We don't want meatballs here. Again, I'm just going to season this a tiny bit. Mince is browned. Give it the most important taste test. Flavour. Again, slightly more unconventional. We're going to add white wine instead of red. Now, the reason I'm adding white wine is because it's lighter. It's a little bit sweeter. And what it's going to do is going to let the meat, again, kind of shine through a little bit more clearer. Wine's almost reduced. And then we're going to add back in our lovely sofrito with the bone marrow fat in there. Turn the heat down slightly. Browned off ox cheek and short rib goes in as well. The tomato pulp is going to go in. And it might look very orange at the moment, but that's just because you've blended it while it's hot. It's just because of the air in there. But obviously as that cooks out over time, it's going to go beautiful and dark. A sprig of rosemary, sprig of bay leaf, some Parmesan rind. Now this Parmesan rind is going to do wonders for this ragu, but it's effectively, you're not really going to taste Parmesan, but what it's going to do is it's going to add roundness, it's going to add fullness to the sauce, and it's going to add that like umami, that natural umami hit that everyone knows and loves. Another little sprinkling of salt, very much in a similar fashion to the reason why we're using the white wine. We want this ragu to be a little bit lighter and not overpowering, so we're just going to go with a light chicken stock, which once it's reduced and simmered with all this beef, it's still going to be lovely and meaty. but it's going to give us a much cleaner, lighter sort of ragu rather than a rich, heavy one that you get when you use red wine and beef stock. So we just want to cover the meat, and then we're going to bring this to a simmer. Once it comes up to the boil, we're then going to transfer it to an oven. We're going to cover it with our trusty cartouche. Perfect for something like this. You want some of the steam to evaporate, but you want to keep it nice and sort of moist without getting a skin on it. This is perfect for this sort of thing. And I think it should take us around about 2 hours. So lid on and then into the oven. Okay, ragu's in the oven. Now we're moving on to the pasta. So we're going to be making spinach pasta or green pasta. So we're going to start off with spinach, and we're going to blanch this in boiling water for about a minute. And then once it's boiled, we're going to take it out of the boiling water and place it into some ice water to chill down. It's going to add a really nice irony flavour to the pasta dough, which is going to complement the meatiness of the dish. The next step I'm going to do is I'm just going to very roughly chop the spinach. This is just going to help to blend it smoother, and then we're going to blend that with some egg yolk. So this is 00 flour, as always when you're making pasta. Then we're going to make a small well in the centre, and we're going to go in with 2 whole eggs, a generous glug of olive oil, a little pinch of salt, our spinach mixture. So we're then just going to take, using our hand, we're just going to very quickly bring this together into a dough and then knead it for a couple of minutes before wrapping it in cling film, placing it in the fridge for about half an hour to set. It wouldn't be lasagna without white sauce. So it's going to fly through this. We've all seen us make white sauce a million times. Taken some milk and we've infused this with some bay leaf, some peppercorn and some thyme. Placed it into the milk, brought it up to 80 degrees and just infused that for an hour. So we've added all our milk to our bechamel, cooked that out for about 5 minutes. Our bechamel is nice and thick now. Now we're just going to add our parmesan and then just let that melt into the sauce. Just give it a little mix to combine. Final bit of seasoning is just a touch of nutmeg. It's not going to overpower anything too much, but it's just going to give a little background, not heat, but just a little bit of attitude. You know something's going on in there. And that is ready to roll. The reverse cartouche, made famous by my compadre, Will Murray. Place it on top of your cooling down product to avoid the skin. Oh, look at that. Reverse cartouche. Have you ever seen anything so sexy? Now we're going to start to roll out our pasta dough. Just pat it down nicely so it's a bit thinner. Going to put it through the widest setting first. So we're just going to keep rolling it through. We've taken this to setting number 6 of 8, which I think will be about right. Okay, so that's about the right thickness. So we're going to hold it up. I put that through probably about 15 times. As you can see, you can sort of see the light coming through it. I don't want it like crazy thin, because we still want the pasta to have a nice structure to it. So we're just going to set these aside and then we're going to blanch them. So we're going to keep dropping it in for a minute each. Refresh it in ice water. It's firmed up a little bit now, and then we're just going to gently lay it out onto some cloth just to dry. So our ragu has been in the oven now, best part of 2 hours and a half. I've stirred it sort of every half an hour as it's been cooking. And now we can pick out that parmesan rind. It's sort of like shriveled up. And you want to let it cool slightly, but you can see the sort of fat has risen to the top, the residual fat. And what we're looking to do now is just break up those chunks of meat. So we diced it quite small already, but as you can see, you've got little chunks of meat here. We're just almost going to like push them against the side of the pan, just to break up the chunks of meat. We're going to start with a little bit touch of the white sauce. So we're going sort of in the Northern Italy style of lots of thin layers of everything. So add a really nice structure to the finished lasagna. A layer of the ragu. Now if it's not 100% even, that's okay. I'm going to go in with the pasta. And then you can sort of cut bits off and change it as you're going through it. That's the beauty of using this fresh pasta, is that you can sort of trim it and manipulate it in any way you need to fit the perfect sizes that you want. That's our first layer done. And basically we're just going to keep repeating that. The thinner layers are going to give us more structural integrity on the finished lasagna, so we can really cut it out and serve it as almost like a lovely slice. But it's a real nice point of difference here, that it's not just like one texture of just the sort of minced beef traditionally, or minced pork. We've got a little bit of cartilage from the ox cheek. You've got that beautiful fatty flavour from the short rib, and then you've still got the bacon and the pork in there as well. So it's a real beautiful mix of different meats. I'll be hoping trying to get anywhere between 8 to 10 layers on here, I reckon. So the last layer of pasta's gone on. Next, we're going to top it with the last bit of cheese. You could usually do this the night before, You could do this the day before, you could do this 2 days before, you can pop it in your fridge like this and it's just ready to bake whenever you want. Or you can pretty much just cheese it straight away and bake it. Last step now, we're gonna set an oven to 140. Now we're just gonna grate some Parmesan all over the top. This is gonna help to achieve that crunchy, crispy layer that Massimo Bottura was so affectionate about. So this is gonna take about 20 to 30 minutes in a medium oven at 140. And then we're gonna finish it slightly unconventionally, which is gonna give us that beautiful crispy top that we're really after. Okay, into the oven she goes. Whoa! And we're gonna place it under a preheated grill. And what we're trying to do here is caramelize the top, caramelize that cheese, and basically get that top layer of pasta to go slightly crispy. So if you don't have a grill at home, you can do this in a super hot oven. I'd actually take the lasagna out, turn up your oven 220, 230, preheat it, and then pop your lasagna back in, and hopefully you'll try and get a similar effect. Oh yeah, now we're talking. Oh. Okay, so we've got our lasagna down from the grill. As you can see, we've really pushed the crispy part of that lasagna. We're really trying to replicate that bit that Massimo Bottura loved. This may be one of the greatest feats of human accomplishments. But look at that. The lasagna in all its glory. The chef's lasagna. And I, for one, cannot wait to dig into this. But look at it, I love that, like how you can just cut through it. It's not too saucy. Oh, look at that. I love how you get the flecks of meat. You got the cheek in there, you got the, and like the top almost, you get almost like a crust from all that layer of cheese on the top. Oh God, I'm so excited. So much flavor in there. You can still got all these distinctive layers, even after being cut into. This might be the best lasagna on planet Earth.